I'm not sure. I would put it this way. In 2013, I saw secular stagnation manifest in a chronic excess of savings over investment that found its way into low interest rates, sluggish growth, savings flowing into existing assets, leading to elevated asset values and high multiples. And those seem to me to define an era. And nothing that has happened since has changed my mind about the view that defined the era from 2013 until the beginning of the pandemic. I saw that gap. I wouldn't have known precisely how to quantify it, but the potential gap between savings and investment that was leading to the low interest rates and that was leading to the sluggish growth was perhaps 4% of GDP. That's a very imprecise number. We had the pandemic, and we then had, for 2 years in a row, 14% of GDP in fiscal stimulus. We had fiscal stimulus more than half as large as the United States had had during the Second World War. We had fiscal stimulus that measured relative to the GDP gap was 5 or 6 times as large as we had had in response to the financial crisis. And so with that magnitude of fiscal stimulus, you were far more than closing the secular stagnation gap. And that's why I, in early 2021, was very confident that we were setting off a serious inflation problem, because I saw that the secret sauce of economics is arithmetic, and that we were closing far more than the gap. And it was justified by all kinds of motivated reasoning, including the recency bias that you describe. I think matters are much less clear right now. On one hand, the demography that was a central driver of secular stagnation is still where it was, or if anything, a stronger force. The decapitalization associated with the rise of intangibles, associated with the fact that my $500 phone has computing power comparable to what a $40 million computer did a generation ago. That is also still there and operates for secular stagnation. On the other hand, and I'll finish up quickly, we have a strong movement towards much larger levels of government borrowing, both accumulated debt to GDP and subsequent flows of borrowing. And we have major drivers to investment associated with the green transition, associated with the movements to resilience. And we have a set of cost increasing pressures pointing towards more inflation. My best guess is we're not going back to the interest rate era that characterized secular stagnation, where the zero lower bound was a central problem for central banks. That's my best guess. But whereas I was confident about secular stagnation, and then I was confident about inflation, I don't see a basis for high confidence about the nature of the next era having revealed itself yet. That's why I think in general, central banks need to focus on gauging and doing the right thing at each moment. And they put their credibility at risk if they engage in excessive forecasting of their future behavior.